In space, no one can hear you scream. I remember those words from the first Alien movie when you went in the movie theater. Everything got dark. That was the first thing you heard, you know. And anyway, hey guys, what's going on? Jim here back with a little short video. Maybe not real short, who knows, but this is just a model I built. This is the re-release from MPC, the 1979 model kit original version. This is the repop that they did quite a few years back and stuff. And I'm a Star Trek fan. That's number one in my book as far as sci-fi type movies, you know, space and all that. But when it comes to sci-fi, horror, mixed genre, Alien, the whole Aliens, what do you want to call it? The series. I mean, all the Alien movies, the new one, Prometheus, the new the one that just came out maybe a couple of years back or this past year. They're all my favorites. It's got to be one of the best creatures in sci-fi as far as aliens go and stuff. And I had to build this kit and all that, and I just mounted it on a little wooden base today. It's been sitting in a box after I built it for years. So I did a little bit of lettering on the base and some green, and that seemed to be pretty common in the movies. And something so the model stands up pretty much without tipping over. It's a pretty sturdy model on its own, but the base just helps it more permanently. But I just want to do this little short video on the Alien. This is a very easy kit. There's a lot of seam work to be done on it, but other than that, it's pretty easy. Not a whole lot of painting. Not a whole lot to assembling it. You know, it's a fair representation. I think they could have come up with maybe a little bit better pose as far as squatting down more and stuff, but to me it's good enough. It's even got the little secondary set of jaws that come out from the mouth. The only complaint I got about that, they don't go all the way in because the regular teeth are in the way, but they do slide out a little bit more. It's got the dome, whatever, the skull cap. I did paint that up detail, kind of like I mixed up a bone color. I forgot what color, tan and some white and a little bit of gray I threw in there to give it some detail. As far as the cap goes, the clear part, I sprayed it on the inside, just a couple light mists of black. I didn't have no transparent black like what you would do to tint windows with, so I just used some regular black spray paint and just kind of mist it a little bit. And if you hit it with a bright enough light and all that, you can still see all the detail underneath it. So I'm pretty happy with the way that came out. As far as painting goes, I just gave it a shot of gloss black, and it's not going to show up on here too well, but you might be able to pick up some areas. I used copper and gave it a little, like on these ridged areas here on the arms, the legs, a couple areas on the front of the legs and stuff, just to give it a little bit of color. The arms are posable. I mean, it kind of looks like a I don't know, a little bit undernourished alien to me. But that's what they had back in '79, so you know, you get what you get. But it's a pretty decent kit. I like the movies, so that's why I had to buy the kit and build it. What else can I say about it? Goes together fairly easy, very low parts count. A couple areas I did along some raised areas, I just took and dry brushed some little bit of gray to kind of highlight some of the areas a little bit. But other than that, it's basically black. I sprayed it. Then I sprayed after I was done with everything. I gave it another shot of clear gloss, and that was about it. See around the mouth. And everybody that's familiar with the movies, they are always drooling slime, kind of like almost like a basset hound would. So I just used that and kind of ran a couple little dabs of clear silicone and let it dry and stuff, and kind of wanted it like it was hanging and dripping and stuff, just like in the movies. So, but that's my Alien model, and it was fun to build. It's fun to have on display. It's kind of like you know, it's my favorite movies as far as horror movie goes. So I had to have the kit, and I wish they would have made more round two. Talked to quite a few years back about releasing the Queen Alien stuff, and that looked like a real super kit. They had some prototypes of it, but they I don't know, they lost licensing or something didn't fall through or something. But they never did go through with that kit, so I was kind of disappointed because that looked like it was going to be really super with all the detail that was on it. But anyway, I'm going to do a little bit of a, you want to call it a rant, maybe a little bit of a complaint and stuff. And I'm going to keep the camera on this model right now. I was going to display just a whole bunch of variety of different models and stuff in the group, but I want to do some separate videos on what I had in mind. So, but things seem to be getting this. I'm going to go on a little bit about violence. I mean, this has a little bit to do with models and stuff. I'm 59 years old. I grew up building models most of my life. I probably started out when I was about 10, 11 years old. I remember my first model kit was a Red Baron car, the custom car by George Barris and all that. And you still see some of those kits floating around now and then. I think they did a repop a few years back and all that, but I never got my hands on another one. I don't have the original kit. Like I said, that was probably about close to 50 years ago. But it's just gun stuff. Shooting kids in schools. Shooting people, young adults, older adults at concerts. It's got to stop. You know what? We didn't have that when we were growing up. Most of us modelers we're all up there in the years, middle age, stuff like that. This is a hobby that we grew up with. It's still around. Maybe there's less hobby shops, but there's still stores that sell model kits. You go online, there's hobby shops online. There's some retailers online. You can still order kits even if they don't carry them in stores and stuff. But things might have changed. Prices might have went up and stuff and things through the year. But so does the rest of things in our economy. But this gun stuff, I hear it on the news. You hear it all the time. A kid walks into a school and shoots up a bunch of classmates, kills some people. The thing in Las Vegas last year at that country concert where some guy got the brainiac idea to go up in a hotel and start shooting at the people at the country concert and stuff, killing a bunch of people and injuring a bunch more and stuff. It's getting ridiculous, America. I never thought about it much until just last week. I'm over here in Illinois. I grew up in Chicago, moved out about 100 miles west of Chicago about 20 years ago, and never really, got as big a concern. I mean, it's something that concerns me. It's not right. There's too many crazy people. There's a place and time for guns, and it's not to shoot kids. And some kids aren't even old enough to have grown up to know what life is yet. It's just ridiculous. But it really hit me big time last Wednesday when in Dixon, Illinois, a town about 12 miles from where I live, they had a kid walk in, 19-year-old kid walk in with a gun. He starts shooting, didn't kill nobody, didn't hit nobody with bullets, but the officer that was on duty at the school saw what was going on. He confronted the gentleman. The gentleman did take a couple shots at the officer, didn't hit the officer. The officer returned fire, hit him in the shoulder, and took him into custody. That's close to home. I'm an adult. I don't have no kids. But you know what? It's got to stop. Kids nowadays, there's too much time. Social media, there's a lot of stuff that's wrong on social media that gives them these ideas. Gaming, there's a lot of games in there that got violence. Some people pick up stuff like that off of the gaming nowadays. It's getting very pathetic, and our government's not doing nothing about guns. I mean, like I said, there's a time and a place. If you're in the armed forces, if you go hunting, you use guns for certain things. Mainly those are rifles and stuff like that, not handhelds and not automatics and assault type weapons and stuff. And our government needs to crack down, and the people in this country just need to say, hey, put a stop to it. Well, I got news for you. We didn't hear about stuff like that when we were growing up because we got into hobbies and stuff to fill our free time. We didn't have social media. We didn't have gaming. And there's nothing wrong with it nowadays. Modeling is a way to express yourself. If you're bored, you got nothing to do, it's a way to take some time and do something creative. You can be creative as you want when it comes to models, and if you want to let off some steam, don't go out there and pick up a gun, or go out there and you hear about kids on overpasses throwing boulders and bricks and stuff down on top of cars and injuring or killing people in their cars driving down the interstates and stuff. I don't know where our kids are going these days, but it's really scary. And like I says, if it didn't hit so close to home, I probably wouldn't be talking about this now. But it hit real close to home, and it's just not right. Kids, people that do modeling or people that watch our videos, talk to the kids, get them into modeling. You don't have to know what you're doing. There's basic kits out there for beginners. They call them snap tight kits or snap together kits. You snap it together. If you don't like it, you can take it apart, but you can learn how to put together a model kit without all the glue and the paint. And if you enjoy it, you can take it apart and then you can glue it together. You can give it a custom paint job. You can customize it with goodies. Some of them might be even something you got laying around the house. I might do this and stuff. Modeling is creative. It's a way to express yourself. Don't pick up a gun, pick up a piece of plastic. It's just, I walk into a hobby store these days, whether it's a regular hobby store that specifically deals with models and that type of stuff, or if it's a Hobby Lobby. The only people I see walking down the aisles is the older age group gentlemen that have been in model building all their life and in and out of it. Maybe they stopped, they got married, they had kids, they raised a family, but they get back into it because they want something to do, and it's a fun hobby. But this stuff with shooting up kids and stuff, and I mean, there was another guy about a year ago in Dixon, had an argument with his ex-wife. I guess they were arguing over custody of kids. I think they was 5 and 3 years old, and after his wife left from arguing, he had the kids at his house. He shot them both in the head, killed them, and then he turned the gun on himself. What did those kids deserve to be killed like that? They weren't even old enough to know what life is about. And it doesn't matter if it's kids being killed at these school shootings or whatnot. It's adults being killed, grown-ups, teenagers, all age groups at a country concert. It's just it's ridiculous. And I didn't watch the award show, whatever it was last night, but I don't get into that genre of music. I'm still old school rock and roll, AC/DC, Aerosmith, Priest, stuff like that. But I know Kelly Clarkson got on there. She says, I'm not going to do a moment of silence because I'm getting tired of it. And that's exactly the truth. We're getting tired of it, and get your kids into modeling. There's sometimes there's modeling shows where they got exhibits. They got sometimes they got train shows where they got train layouts, and they, besides train stuff, they sell model kits. There's vendors. A lot of them are a couple bucks to get in. Some of them are even free. Get your kids doing something creative, something constructive. Not this violent stuff and everything. I'm having a hard time getting this through. I'm just at a loss for words and don't know where I want to go, and I don't want it to sound like rambling, but that's what it's turning into. It's like, I like to watch the news, catch the weather, see what's going on new in the world. Sometimes that could be pretty sad, but I like to see what's going on. But every time I turn on the TV, there's another shooting someplace, a bunch of lives lost and stuff. And it seems like more and more it's younger kids, high school age kids. And there's even been some instances where I've heard of grammar school kids, 6th, 7th graders taking a gun to school to show their friends because they thought it was cool. But it turned out for the worse and all that. And, there's a time and a place for guns. And, unless you're in the armed forces or public safety, hunting, things like that, they don't belong. I mean, in this concealed carry, I can understand you want to protect your house if somebody tries breaking in or something, and you're protecting your family or your belongings. That's one thing. But with this concealed carry stuff, about a year or so ago, there was a story on TV. It was on the World News, and it was two women in a Walmart fighting over the last item of its kind on the shelf. and the next thing, one of them pulled out a gun. Is that right? When you go shopping, you got to be afraid of your life because somebody might pull out a gun if you take an item that they wanted and it's the last one. This world isn't supposed to run that way. But modeling's a lot of fun. And like I said, you can get all different kind of kits if you're into custom cars, if you're into race cars, drag racing, stock cars, um, old old street rods, muscle cars, classic cars, just plain old cars, everyday cars. There's all different types of model kits. There's all different skill levels. Some are harder to put together than others. Some require more gluing, more painting. But like I said, there's different skill levels. You can start out with a basic kit, snap together. You can glue it, you can paint it, you can practice on it. And if you enjoy it, you can spend more money on a better quality kit, something that requires more skill to put together. And as you get better, you'll find out you can detail them up the way you want. You can give them custom paint jobs with the flames, the whole 9 yards, if you're into model airplanes, there's old World War airplanes, and there's more modern fighter jets and stuff, maybe you're growing up, I've grown up, I've always liked Star Trek, so I build a lot of Star Trek models and stuff, and I got to the point, I light them up, I do a lot of detail work on them. I do other sci-fi models as far as Battlestar, Star Wars, and stuff like that. I've taken a kids, what's supposed to be a snap together kids toy, and I turned it into a high quality model, fully lit up with over 1,000 fiber optic lights on it, and about 300 feet of fiber optics. It wasn't sold that way, but I redid the model and customized it and made it into something that's probably show quality and all that. I mean, you can take the hobby as far as you want, and it's just not model. There's modeling skills, model railroading. There's, that's modeling, a form of modeling. There's naval ships, there's regular ships, there's military models, tanks and armory and stuff like that. There's model figures like this one here, and I'm showing one. I got another one I'll probably be doing in a couple days. It's from a kit from quite a few years back, Mr. Spock. I always thought that was a pretty cool character on all the Star Trek, the original series and in the motion pictures. But there's a lot of different genres, and you can see in the background, I think you might be able to make out there's a couple kits up there on my little entertainment unit. I'm going to be posting a video on those probably another day or two. Those are going to be kind of like a blast from the past that I built about 25 years ago. But I just wanted to do this video, kind of show off the alien creature. It's not really much to show off. I did detail paint the inner jaw and stuff. I used like a real light flesh tone on most of it, and then I did the teeth up in a little bit of an off-white and the rest of that. But there's not a whole lot of work involved in something like this. And it's fun to build, and you can detail it up, paint it up the way you like it. It doesn't have to look like it does in the movie or the pictures. You could paint it any color you want. You can make it into call it a different kind of creature rather than the alien from the movie series and stuff. But it's just like, guys, any kids, they're bored, they're out, most kids are getting out of school now, they'll be looking for something to get to in the summer. They're going to be, instead of getting in trouble, get them into modeling. I talk with my neighbor kid that cuts my grass for me. He's a freshman in high school next year. He's been wanting to learn how to use a bait caster, so I've been helping out learning how to use a bait casting reel in my free time and stuff, only because it's something he's interested in, and it's going to keep him off the streets, and it's going to keep him from getting himself in trouble in the wrong ways and all that. And that's what matters. It's like, the adults, maybe the kids don't know about stuff like this. Maybe mom and dad need to show them, or, if you got a neighbor that's got a kid and they don't, look over them or get them involved in stuff, maybe you guys that are already doing models, model builders and stuff, get together, maybe start a little club or something just in your area. And that, I used to be in the tropical fish. I've been in all different kind of hobbies all my life. And it's always kept me occupied. Never had a dull moment with nothing to do and get bored. I'm into NASCAR besides, collecting die cast and stuff like that. But I've always been into some hobby. I've been into model roading, had a couple different layouts with the mountains and the canyons and the bridges and the rivers and the waterfalls and the little towns and all that. A lot of scratch building and weathering and stuff. That's where I get a lot of my modeling techniques from being into model railroading, because there's a lot of different things to do with that. I mean, lighting and everything. It's not much different, but I don't mean to keep going on and on, but there's just so much that you can do, whether no matter what type of modeling, what type of hobby it is. I was into tropical fish. I belonged to several fish clubs through my life. We used to have shows where you showed the fish just like they do at the Kennel Club dog shows, the big Westminster show and stuff. You took your fish down, put them on display in a tank that was appropriately sized for them, and they were judged by color, by health standards, and just what a fish should be. In the wild, they were judged. Is that a good specimen of that type of fish? So I do fish, and it's like get the kids off the streets, get the kids away from the guns and the weapons and the violence and the drugs and stuff. All that leads to no good problems and stuff. And we don't need the kids growing up like that, and we don't need our kids getting killed off like they are. Most of them are innocent youngsters that haven't even got a chance to get out there in the world and see what life is all about and stuff. And it's just, I don't know. They don't deserve it. That's all I got to say. And it's pathetic. It makes me really sad and all that. And I just had to go on and ramble about it. So I'm sorry to take up time with a bunch of rambling, but it's something that if it didn't hit so close to home last week, I probably wouldn't talk about. Now, what happens 2 days after it happens out near my house down in Texas, where I talked to a gentleman, Bad Grendels. You guys all know his YouTube channel, or those that do sci-fi maybe do, or more Star Wars he's into, but he's into all different aspects of the hobby too, amongst with other things in his personal life. But we were just talking about that, and what happens 2 days later, there's a shooting in Texas. 10 people lost their lives, and a bunch of them critically wounded, and other ones wounded and stuff. But these kids that are alive, that go through this and survive it, they're afraid to go back to school the next day. They're afraid to go back to school after that period, because they don't know if it's going to happen to them or if it's going to happen again. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. And it's not just the government to do things about it. The people in this country need to start taking a stand and doing something about it. It's like, if the government don't care, we do. But this is just something I wanted to get out off my chest. And it's got to do with getting these kids a hobby and stuff. And all that. And it's like, what more can I say? I hope this hits home for a lot of people, because I know it has for me. I know I rambled a lot, and maybe things didn't come out straight. I just had so much that I wanted to get off my chest and say about it. But just a little bit to show off a basic model and stuff that doesn't take much effort to build. A little bit of detail and extra add-ons, like that little slime dripping out of his mouth with the silicone and stuff, and you got a pretty cool thing to display. And I mean, it's something that you might enjoy, and like I said, there's cars out there. There's cars from the movies, Batman, Batmobiles, the Dukes of Hazzard. Some of those kits are getting hard to find because they're not being re-released or nothing. There might be a few years before they get released again, but there's all different types of models to build out there and stuff. And it could be a lot of fun, and it's a way to show off what you're capable of doing to others. And we get on YouTube and we show off our models, and it's like a big happy community. Everybody checks one another's work out and leaves comments, and we share ideas and how to and stuff with people and stuff. So there's always somebody out there that's going to help you out if you do want to get interested in a hobby. But just get the hell off the streets and get away from them damn guns and do something creative for a change, okay? Till the next time, I'll be doing some videos the next few days in my spare time and stuff. I got a bunch of model kits that I've built that I haven't shown, some of them that I needed stands to that I finally got around to doing, and some of them might be redos of some old videos, but just updates and stuff, and a little bit better quality and stuff. So All I can say is, guys, thanks for your time. Everybody else out there, thanks for your time. If you know somebody that is interested in modeling but they don't get on YouTube and check us out, hey, show them these videos and all that. You know, maybe they can get their kids in there and stuff. And it's even good for older people. You don't have to be a kid. It's good. It's a good hobby for anybody. You don't have to be a guy. You can be a gal. There's a few gals out there. I've checked out their videos, and they're pretty good modelers and stuff. You know, it's a fun hobby for everybody. So until the next time, you guys all take care. Happy modeling, and we'll talk to you. Bye.